So what cost metrics are actually useful to decision makers? First of all, total program costs for all participants who are served, whether that's the teachers or the students. Then you want to look at average cost per student or teacher served. It's also helpful to look at a range of costs per participant if some participants require more resources from the program than others. So you might want a low and a high as well as the average. And then finally, the marginal cost of adding each additional participant to an established program can be useful. So if it's normally serving 50 students, you might want to know what does it cost to add that 51st student. That would be the marginal cost. Some useful ways to think about costs are separating them into fixed and variable costs. So an example might be if you're planning a professional learning event, the fixed costs would probably be the district administrator's time to plan a professional learning event, because that's probably going to be more or less the same whether it's for 10 people or 20 people participating. Presenter fees are probably also going to stay the same. So those are the fixed costs, while variable costs are the ones that are going to go up in line with the number of participants. So stipend, food, and materials would be examples. As we saw with the READ 180 example, it's a good idea to look at whether costs vary across sites due to implementation differences. And then it also helps to look at how the costs are spread among multiple stakeholders. So in education, these stakeholders might include the state education department, the district office, the schools themselves, and then of course we all know that teachers often pay for things out of their own pockets. So for example, they might be paying for a degree program. When you first think about doing a cost analysis, it's important to figure out what it is you really care about. So first, whose costs are you concerned about? Is it costs to the district office? Is it costs to the school, the teachers, the taxpayer, the state education department, or some combination of all of those? Next, what kind of costs do you care about? Is it total cost starting from scratch? So for example, if you're creating a charter school, you're really going to want to know what does it cost from beginning to end? Or are you just concerned about the incremental costs above and beyond what you're already incurring? So for example, if you are adding an after-school program to an already existing school program. And then over what time horizon should you be estimating the cost? Is it just for this year only? Is it for the next 5 years or some other time period? What you choose to focus on should really be determined by what the decision is that you need to make. And here's some examples of decisions you could be making with cost analysis. So it might be the case that you want to determine the resources needed and the associated costs to implement a new program. You might be looking at resource allocation in an existing program or between several existing programs. You could be looking to identify which sites are doing the best job implementing a program in order to look for best practices. Or you could be trying to decide whether to scale up or scale back on a program. So just in case you think you'll be doing all this on your own, I would like to introduce a tool that our research center developed with funding from IEF to help users estimate the costs and the cost effectiveness of educational programs. It's called CostOut. It's free to use. It's available online. If you search CostOut on the internet, it should come up. And all you need to do to use it is to register a few details and agree to terms of use. This is the actual URL. It doesn't come up as CostOut. And what does it do? It does help to estimate and compare costs of implementing educational programs. You would enter a list of ingredients that you need to implement the program, and then you can either enter local prices, so salaries, materials prices that you know about, or you can use the database that's in the tool of national average prices of educational resources. So that includes teacher and principal salaries, materials prices, all kinds of ingredients that are used in education. So the tool can help you estimate total program costs and cost per participant. It can help you assess how costs change as the number of program participants varies. It can help you assess how costs change as one resource is substituted for another, and it can also make it clear who will pay for which aspect of implementation.